Hey, I wanted to take a dive into EverQuest and talk about MMORPGs in general and just like the general like addiction I had with EverQuest, and what like a lot of other people probably went through, most likely. This video is gonna be part like just talking about facts of EverQuest, about MMORPGs in general, and just like me rambling on and on and on and on. EverQuest is one of my favorite games of like all time. It probably is my favorite game of all time, and I just want to like give you some insight on like what was so special about it back then, especially for like people now that don't want to really jump into it because it's pretty dated. And I mean, I know I don't even touch it anymore, but yeah, let's just jump right into it. Bam. Yeah, so EverQuest, it was released originally in 1999. In their first expansion, Kunark, Runes of Kunark. I always thought it was pronounced Kunark, but like I had to look it up. I guess it's Kunark. It released like a year later in like the new millennia. It was the year 2000, and that game was like on fire. Okay, there wasn't that many MMORPGs that you can play at the time. There was like Ultima Online, and like there's a few more, and like those text-based, I guess, MMOs that I looked at like, for a small amount of time. During the time though, I was about 12 or 13 years old, and I had an older brother, and he was extremely nerdy. He's like still extremely nerdy, and that's where I get my nerdiness from. He was into Dungeons and Dragons. He's into comics and anime and all that, and that's what kind of got me into it. I probably would have never even touched any like Dungeons and Dragons or any of that genre without him. He was very into that. That was his escapism. It's just buying all these Dungeons and Dragons edition books and just going through the pages. He wouldn't even like play the game. He would just like read the edition books like from cover to cover, and he was really into that, and he kind of got me into it. He'll sit me down like, hey, let's make a character here, and we'll make some characters, and he'll help me make the most perfect like elven spellcaster, and so when it came to getting his first PC, he was working at the library at the time, and he was working hard. He was working a lot of hours after school. He still went to high school, and he had like AP classes, and like after his classes he'll go to work at the library, and then he would just save his money, and eventually he got to the point where he had enough money to buy a PC. It was insane. Like a lot of us kind of didn't have PCs just yet. It was like we're like right at the cusp of like a lot of people getting PCs, but like I remember like most of my friends didn't have PCs at home, so my brother, he got a Gateway PC. That was the first one. I still remember the box, that freaking cow printed box, and it sat in my mom's like room until like the day she died. That thing stayed there forever. That thing was a big box, and for some reason my mom hoarded it. And so he bought 3 games when he got his first PC. The first game was it was Ultima Online, Diablo 2, and EverQuest, Runes of Kunark. Yeah, so when my brother, ordered that PC and got the games and everything, I still remember looking at the box for EverQuest, Runes of Kunark. And I looked at it, and it had like the kind of like the 3D printed cover, and it opened up, and you can see like a bunch of stuff. I'll probably put a picture of it beforehand, but I knew what Diablo 2 was. Like, I've seen Diablo. Me and my brother, we played Diablo, the first one, and Ultima Online. I had an idea what that was too, because I think they made similar games or whatever on PC or whatever. And I mean, I still had an idea what that was, but EverQuest was like completely new to me. Like this whole like 3D world where people live in it and do stuff in it together. That was just like that blew my mind. So before I even get into it, I was so fascinated with like online games, Diablo, for example. So one of my friends, he had a PC. I still remember this guy, Robert. He had a PC, and he had Diablo. I think the original Diablo, and I would call him, and we would talk on the phone about like Diablo, and while he's playing online, he would like explain to me like what's happening, and like, oh, I see a player. I think this is a player, and like, yeah, we're talking or something like that. Like I don't know if he was bullshitting me or whatnot, but like it just seemed so cool. Like this, like he was playing online with other people, and I was just like sitting there, oh, wow, like like a little 12-year-old me, like, wow, that's cool, like I was just like amazed, and I kept calling him all the time too. I'm like, hey, are you playing Diablo? Can I listen? Like, tell me what's going on, almost every day. And he would just do that, and shout out to him for doing that. But I was obsessed. And then like when I saw EverQuest, I was like, can we install this first to my brother? Like I wanted to see like what this was. Diablo 2 looked great to me too. I was like looking at that like, oh, that looks really fun. But EverQuest, I was like, this is something that looks like amazing. I'm curious to see what this is. And like before we even got the game, I was like looking at the races and the classes and stuff, and I'm like, oh. So he gets EverQuest, he installs it, and I still remember to this day. It's vividly like he made a half elf paladin named Maladin on the Terrace Tool server or Terrace Thule server, and he was drop offing in Kinos, and he was fighting like rats and snakes and stuff. And I remember his health was going down. He's like fighting a rat, and his health was like probably like down to like 20%. And this erudite like cleric comes out of nowhere and heals him. That was like the moment I got like absolutely obsessed with EverQuest. I was like, he was doing his own thing. You were fighting this rat, and he's coming to you. He sees that you're in trouble, and he heals you. He uses class that he picked to help you, and then he goes off. He waves like bye, and he like goes off and does his own thing. And I'm like, damn, that's cool. Oh man, I got that moment. It like there's something in my brain that just went like, oh shit, like here we are, like we finally have the game that you always wanted to play, And yeah, it was just an amazing moment. And when my brother finally logged off, I got to make my character. Man, the stories, every day was like an adventure. Now, see, like EverQuest, like today, it's different. Like you jump into it now, every single other player knows like what's going on in the whole world around you. So like they know every single zone. They know where every freaking spawn is and everything. Like it's not the same. Back then, when everything was fresh and brand new, and you're like, hey, like you're talking to another player, like let's go check out this new zone and see what's going on over here. That was amazing. It felt like a real adventure, And at the time, I think I was like 13. I was 12 when EverQuest first released, but I think I was 13 when I actually played when Runes of Kunar came out. And I'm sure that most people I was playing with were like adults who like had jobs and everything, like real jobs, and they were able to play like for some reason a lot. Like there were probably a lot of them like worked like some kind of IT position where they're just like sitting around in an office and like they're able to play at the same time while like working. And I remember thinking in my head like, man, that's what I want to do. Like I mean I got into IT, but that's like I want to be able to do that. And it was just so cool, and yeah, man, EverQuest, what like was captured back then with the MMORPGs, what made it very special was like everyone had a role, everyone had their role that they had to play, and it's not like gamified in a way that like the new Final Fantasy does it, like oh you have a DPS role, you have like warrior role, you have your healing role, support role, whatever. It was more like everyone can contribute no matter what class you really were, and every class wasn't like just defined in one box kind of thing. Like, I mean, some were kind of like, warrior, you're going to be a tank, But like, if you're a necromancer, no one's going to want you in a team, really, But there's stuff that you could do that will make you useful, And it just, it was, and like, how hardcore it was, It was very hardcore. It was like, you die somewhere, your corpse you have to go get your fucking corpse. What made that reason why that was great, and I know a lot of people hate that because it's like a quality of life thing. You don't want to spend fucking time doing a corpse run when you're like, you want to get like 30 minutes into play. But like, the reason why corpse runs were cool, it's like, you see a place, you see a zone, and you realize how dangerous it is. And you play better because it's so dangerous. You're more cautious. And because of that, it makes it feel more immersive, more this role play comes out of you, You look at your team, you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna go down there. It's the mobs are pretty strong. And like, there could be some secret like places on the floor where you're gonna fall through and shit, and you're screwed. You're fucking screwed. You have to find a rogue to come in and get your corpse for you. And even that rogue might die, It's like, man, it was amazing. And the addiction part, man, let me tell you, man, I skipped so much school. I skipped so much fucking school. I was playing this from like 8th grade till about like the end of high school. Past that too, but like, I was heavy into it. And my mom, she's like she was this old Haitian lady. She spoke English fine, but like, she had a kind of hard time like grasping and understanding like technology, like new technology and stuff like that. Like, she never really understood what I was doing on the computer, like, she had like no idea I was playing with like other people, like real people online. Like, maybe I'd say it and she'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever. But and I would be there like on a Wednesday school night, up at 3:00 in the morning, like, like this playing EverQuest, and once in a blue moon, my mom would be like, what are you doing? Like, it's late, and I'd be like, oh, sorry, and I'd pretend to go to sleep. I'll be really like, still playing, and then I'll go to school, and at school, I'll just be like, I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna leave at 12:00. I'm gonna leave at 11:00. I'm gonna tell my mom it's a half day, or I'm gonna tell her like, oh yeah, like, we don't really have much going on this the rest of the school day. And my mom was fine with that. She was a little, it's a story for another time, but she was like, a little paranoid about stuff. So she'd rather have me at home than like even at school, because like even the school I went to was kind of But like I just was at home playing EverQuest, and I didn't want to hang out with anybody. I didn't want to do any of that. I wanted to get on EverQuest and be in my world as a dark elf mage, like that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to do anything else. It was so addictive, man. I can't find that same feeling with any other game. Now, like, there are other games that came close, or rather, like, it's funny, like, so after I finished, not finished playing EverQuest, but after I kind of was like, okay, I need to kind of get away from this game a bit. Especially after high school, I was like, I need to start focusing on other things, but let me find other games that I can get into. And man, it was so hard. It was so damn hard. The main game that really kind of helped me break away from EverQuest was the Elder Scrolls 3, Morrowind. That was like the first one that kind of really broke my addiction a bit from EverQuest. I was able to, I got pretty addicted to Elder Scrolls. But like, what also kind of destroyed EverQuest for me was, man, World of Warcraft. Not that I played it. I did play World of Warcraft, by the way. I got to like level 20. And it was a good game. It's a good game for what it was. But I remember, man, like, as a kid, and people were talking about World of Warcraft and EverQuest, and there's people kind of almost, saying it's going to be the EverQuest killer and all this other stuff, and a lot of people are excited to like jump into World of Warcraft when that came out. And I had like no interest. I had zero interest in World of Warcraft. I was just like, no, this is my game. EverQuest is my game. It's too damn good. And when World of Warcraft released, the servers were empty. They had merged so many servers. It was like, it was so quiet. I remember the day of release, it was like so damn quiet on EverQuest. And I was just like, oh no. But when they merged the servers, it was kind of like fine. Like it seemed to kind of pretty much help to compensate for all the players they lost. And there's a lot of players who went to World of Warcraft and came back to EverQuest. I tried World of Warcraft. I got to like level 20, but like it just wasn't my cup of tea. But you know, but it's a solid MMORPG, I can tell. But EverQuest, oh, man, I really wish like I know there's Project 99 and everything, but like it's just, I was looking forward to EverQuest Next. And I know that got like canceled, and I was hoping that it would be able to capture that essence, you know. And there's another game, I think it's called Pantheon or whatever, and like I don't even know if that's ever gonna get released. So whatever. But you know, back again to the addiction. It's like I remember reading headlines about, well, not even headlines, but like, you know, stories about like people neglecting their children and this and that. And I'm happy I got into EverQuest when I was young, you know, because I can't imagine how much that would have fucked me over had I gotten into that as an adult. But like, there was a story I remember reading about like some guy who was playing EverQuest and his baby was crying and he just ignored the baby completely. I don't know if this is a you know, like some kind of false story. I don't know if this is like a made up story or not, but I remember reading this story multiple times, so I think it's real. But his baby was crying and he just like ignored the baby. The baby died from like dehydration or something like that. But the addiction was real. It was super real, and there's not many games that are going to be able to replicate that, I think, in the future. Like what I played a few other MMORPGs. So I played like Elder Scrolls Online. I played Final Fantasy on the newer one online. I played a few others that I just Guild Wars 3. I played a little bit of that too. But it's just like every single time I step into these games, I'm just like 5 minutes in, I'm like, you're not EverQuest. You're not EverQuest. And that's like, I hate that my mind does that. You know, like EverQuest kind of destroyed me for like other MMORPGs. Now I just like don't even touch MMOs, you know, like I kind of just stay away from it now and just stick with single player games. I play a ton of Bethesda games. That's pretty much like my bread and butter, you know. But yeah, I always wonder about that, about, you know, the addiction part, about, you know, maybe how much it affected like a lot of people, you know, in good ways or bad ways, you know. I feel like EverQuest was such a grand experience that I kind of don't even care about like the bad shit that I did in the past because of EverQuest, you know, the skipping school and stuff, because like I still hold that experience like dear to me, you know. Like it was something that I feel like a lot of people probably won't, well, a lot of people probably do experience with their first MMORPGs, but like everyone that played EverQuest back then, who like, you know, got to like level 60 and stuff like that, they'll tell you, man, like there's passion in their eyes when they talk about EverQuest, and like I 100% understand it. You know, back when I worked at a different IT job, there was another guy in there who was about the same age as me, and he played a lot of EverQuest. And me and him would just like, you know, I'll come to work and me and him would just talk about EverQuest, and then we end up talking about installing EverQuest, and we end up playing some EverQuest together. And it's fun. It's just so fun. Again, though, the experience is just not going to be the same as it was before, and that's to be expected. You know, gotta let it go. You gotta let the past go sometimes. But when I think about that great game, I just think back on that moments of EverQuest. That was just the best moments of my life, man. Okay, hold on. That was a touch grass moment that slipped. All right. I don't want to say best moments of my life. I have better moments in my life, but best gaming moment of my life was probably with EverQuest, and Bethesda being a very close second. Bethesda games are very special, but yeah. So, what do we learn here today? I barely had any facts about EverQuest. I just wanted to ramble and just talk about EverQuest. But, you know, I hope that, like, you know, if you watch this video, maybe you're into EverQuest and you just here to reminisce with me. If not that, maybe you want to just know what made EverQuest so special. And that, it's so hard to explain. It was a feeling. It was a feeling of a community, a feeling of being in this world, and like you're just a small pawn in it, you know, but like we work together in this world to like accomplish things, you know. And maybe you're just a person who's randomly came to my video and it's like, what the fuck is this guy talking about, you know? And that's fine too. You know, if you did come upon this video and you have played EverQuest, or you had interest in playing EverQuest, or, you know, if you have an MMORPG that you want to mention in my comment section, just, you know, talk about it. Yeah, hit me up. Let's talk about it, you know. And but I would love to hear people's first experience with EverQuest and like how they you know, got into it. If you have played EverQuest and you came across this video. But yeah, thanks, and have a good one.